Hello everyone. When we talk about marketing, one thing that comes in our mind is how well we understand our customer. It's not about what they want or what they need, but it is important to understand how they behave at a different point in time, which include how they behave before they buy the product, how they behave when they actually buying the product and making the decision, and how they behave after they actually purchase it. So when you think about a purchase, it may appear as a straightforward decision to you, but it's actually more complex and involved a multiple phases that progressing toward finally making the purchase decision. While each phase offers a brand a strategic opportunity to engage a customer through appropriate touchpoints. But when we examine the customer journey, we often refer to a standard phases described in a book or consulting framework proposed by the firms such as McKinsey. However, in a practice, these standard phases do not apply uniformly to the all purchase scenario. And this is because there are two types of buying situation. The first one is a impulsive buying and the second one is a high involvement buying. In impulsive buying, decisions are quick and spontaneous, with the minimum consideration for a brand or alternatives, while availability and convenience play a critical role in driving the purchase decisions. For example, think when you go to buy a flower or a chocolates. If the preferred brand is unavailable, you easily switch to the another options. You usually pick whatever immediately available in the store. In such situations, many of the traditional consumer journey phases are either shortened or entirely bypassed during the decision-making process. In contrast, high involvement buying is based on both emotional and rational decision-making process. Here, consumers seek to avoid the potential losses from making the incorrect decision, and to do this, they require a greater involvement in the process, which help them to reduce the potential risks. In this context, the risk is primarily associated with consumer doubt regarding the brand, which tends to increase with the higher prices, premium positioning, and long-term uses. For instance, consider the purchase of premium smartphone or car, when the consumer may be influenced by the factors such as prestige, specifications, safety feature, fuel efficiency, and long-term use. When these elements come together, the buyer has a lot to lose if they get their decision wrong. In other words, for them, it's like they are taking the risks. In such cases, consumer actively seeks to move through the standard journey phases. When it comes to high involvement purchase, the decision-making process becomes far more selective. Therefore, here the role of marketer becomes even critical. His job is not only to reduce the perceived risks, but also build the trust and guide the customers toward the confident purchase decision and effectively manage each phases. Now that we have understood the importance of consumer journey, let us move forward and discuss various phases. But before we actually move forward, it is important to note that although different sources describe the consumer journey using different phases, however, these phases are largely similar in the structure. In this video, to understand the consumer journey, we follow the standardized structure consisting the 6 phases, which are closely aligned with the Phillips Kotler 5A framework. These phases include awareness, interest, consideration, purchase, retention, and advocacy. In practical terms, this approach breaks down all the consumer touchpoints and map them into a framework. To illustrate these, consider the example of purchasing a pair of shoes. Suppose you are planning a trekking activity and suddenly you realize that you do not have a comfortable footwear suitable for a long-term walking. This recognition of gap between your current state and the desired state represent as a need. You then recall the decathlon shoes you recently saw on Instagram and identify them as a potential solution to fulfill your need. At this point, the need is converted into the want, and you then also aware about the specific product option. This stage is referred as a awareness phase. Next, you enter into the interest phase, where you actively seek the more information about the product by exploring the design, style, comfort features, or the price range. This is either done through online research, reading reviews, or visiting the physical store. After reviewing the product and searching for the few more alternatives, you develop the initial consideration list. And to get the better understanding of the product, you decide to visit the stores in person. At the store, the salesperson introduce you to the additional alternatives and provide you the detailed information about the available option. Based on this information, you either add or remove the items from your list and forming the refined set of choice. This final set, you select the most suitable option and finally make the purchase. But it is not over with the purchase. When you use this product over the period of time, you complete a few more tracks and wearing them, you begin to evaluate whether they meet your expectation or not. If the shoes meet your expectation, you're more likely to repurchase from the same brand. This stage is called as a retention. And if the experience continues to be a positive, you may go further and recommend these shoes to the friend, family, and fellow trackers. You might share your reviews online and significantly contribute to the earned media. At this stage, you are actively promoting the brand, and therefore, this phase is also known as the advocacy phase. When we examine all these stages, we realize that the decision that appear simple to a consumer is far more complex from the marketer perspective. However, even with the clear understanding of all these phases, the critical question remains how effectively this knowledge can be applied and translated into actionable insight. I believe that is the reason most of you are actually watching this video. So to illustrate this, let me walk you through the business case study that focus on one of the India's most successful food delivery platform, Zomato. Back in 2017 and 18, when the food delivery platform really started taking off the popularity, with the daily order volume is almost double compared to 2016. But with this rapid growth, the platform came across the whole set of new problems. At that time, most of people were aware about the platform. Many of them are actually downloading the app, but very few of them are placing the orders. So while the companies were great at acquiring the customers, they are struggling in the conversions. On the top of that, they noticed something even more concerning. Consumers were not coming back for repeat purchase. So to gain the deeper insight and find the underlying issue, the company decided to closely analyze this situation. They started collecting the data of consumer behavior at the different stages. And for this, they have used the tools like surveys, observation, and one-on-one interview. And what they discovered was really critical gap between consideration and the purchase stage. First, when the consumer places the order, they often feel confused. They don't know when the food will arrive, how long it will take, or how long they will have to wait. Because of these, they do one of the following things. Either they cancel the purchase, either they go to the restaurant by themselves, or either they call the nearby restaurant to already trust. Second, ordering process itself for too long. User have to enter a lot of information every single time they are placing the order. And for many of the people, this become confusing and frustrating. After identifying the core issue, the team began working on the targeted improvements. Earlier, when the consumer placed the order, all they could see is very basic updates like order prepared, order shipped, or order delivered. But the problem was this update didn't really tell the consumer anything meaningful. They still didn't know where the food was, how long it would actually take a time. To solve this problem, Zomato team introduced a live order tracking feature in their app, due to which the experience completely changed. The consumer could actually see the rider moving through the map. Using the GPS technology, they could clearly understand where the order at this moment, how much time it will take to get there. This simple visibility reduces a lot of anxiety instead of constantly checking the app and wondering where the food arrive on the time or not. Consumer felt more control because they have the real-time access to the information. And the improvement didn't stop there. Was the order on the way? The platform also share the detail of delivery partner. So if there is any confusion about direction, delays or the location, the consumer could directly contact with the rider. This direct communication create a smoother last mile delivery experience. It reduce a misunderstanding, improve coordination, and made customer feel supported throughout the process. Another thing they done is quite simple but remarkable. The platform took a proactive approach. They started automatically tracking the delivery time in the background. And if the order crossed the certain delivery threshold, the system automatically send a notification to the customers asking them, have you received the order or not? Now, if the consumer responds no, they didn't have to explain the problem and search for the help. They immediately connected to the consumer support team. These small changes make a big difference. Consumer felt acknowledged throughout the process and without having to chase the help. As a result, overall consumer experience improved, frustration level drop, and most importantly, the number of cancellation significantly reduced. Zomato case study shows that the marketing principles are not just a concept that we discuss in the MBA classroom, but they are effectively applied in everyday business operation. By using the data-driven consumer journey analysis, organization can identify the problems and allocate their resources in much effective way. This mindset become especially valuable for the startup because they have the limited resources, but it is equally relevant for the large organization focusing on improving the consumer experience. The key takeaway here is a simple. Always map the problem to a specific stage of the consumer journey and then uncover the root cause. Zomato example proves that when you truly understand your consumer, why they are struggling for, you can build the actionable solution that can make a real impact. So with that, we have reached to the end of our video. I hope you have learned something new today. If you did, let me know through the comment below. I would like to hear your perspective. Your feedback really give me a new idea, but also motivate me to keep creating this video. And if you enjoy the content, please consider subscribing the channel. It really helps this video to reach more people like you. And with that, I will see you guys in the next video. Until then, take care, keep learning.